Hello guys and girls, this is A Hard Frost. So what must you know? Well, I know that this poem seems intimidating and many of you think it's very difficult, but that's mostly because of the imagery that we're unfamiliar with. We don't get a lot of snow here in South Africa, so we don't know about what it looks like as much as other people in other parts of the world would. Also, some of the diction might seem a bit difficult, so just make sure you take extra care with this poem to learn what the words mean. But once you've come to grips with those two things, you'll find probably that this is actually a very wonderful poem. So make sure you understand the imagery, especially the image of the bride, and make sure you understand the main theme of the poem, which is that the real transformation is the magic of nature. Right, so stanza 1. A frost came in the night and stole my world, and left this changeling for it, a precocious image of spring, too brilliant to be true. White lilac on the window pane, each grass blade furred like a catkin, Maydrift loading the hedge. The frost is personified and given the human characteristic of stealing. So it came in the night and stole my world. The speaker says that when they woke up one morning, their world was gone and there was a new, more beautiful scene left in its place. There are elements of magic in the mention of changeling, which is a fairy baby which, according to fairy tales, was switched with a human baby to be raised by humans. However, there's also a tone of disbelief and some cynicism, because the image of spring is precocious and it's too good to be true. So the speaker is doubting the reality about how good this scene looks. And then in lines 4 and 5, it describes what the frost looks like as it covers the different elements of nature and the different things that the speaker can see. If you're not sure about these things like a catkin and Maydrift, then just have a Google and have a look at the images and see, so that you get a good image in your head of what they're actually talking about. Right, the elms behind the house are elms no longer, but blossomers in crystal, stems of the mist that hangs yet in the valley below, amorphous as the blind tissue whence creation formed. So the speaker is talking about the trees that are behind the house, and they're not just trees anymore, but blossomers in crystal. So the frost has coated them and they now look like they're actually growing crystals. So just like flowers would blossom, it's now like these trees are growing crystals, which, as you can imagine, is a very rich image. It would be very beautiful if crystals grew on trees. So this is the image that the speaker is trying to get into your mind. They're also stems of the mist, as all that is visible is their trunks, and looks like they're growing the mist which is hanging above them. The mist is hanging in the valley and it has no shape. So the speaker says the shapeless mist is like the tissue that was then shaped and molded by the Creator when the world was created. Stanza 2. The sun looks out and the fields blaze with diamonds. Mockery spring, to lend this bridal gear for a few hours to a raw country maid, then leave her all disconsolate with old fairings of aconite and snowdrop. So in stanza 2 now, the sun comes up and the field blazes with diamonds. And isn't that a wonderful image? So rich and so beautiful. It's the sun as it hits the frost on the grass seems to, it's like it lights up and it's like diamonds that are growing on this grass. Please take note of the diction, which is describing the frost. He talks about how brilliant it is. It's like crystals, it's like diamonds, which really implies richness and beauty. However, the poet realizes that this beauty is not real and calls it mockery spring. It's as if it's just pretending to be beautiful like the real spring. The landscape is compared to a raw country maid on her wedding day. Now this is a very important image in this poem that you need to understand. So if you think of a normal village girl, she's very plain, nothing fancy about her, and doesn't really wear makeup, no fancy clothes, just very plain and normal. But on her wedding day, she's transformed into a beautiful bride. She's got the white dress, she's got some beautiful jewelry, she's had her hair done and her nails. And then the next day, she's back to how she was before, plain and normal. And the speaker says that it's disappointing then, because now you know what she could look like when she's all dressed up and all fancy. So this is the same way that he describes the landscape. He says that the landscape is like a plain country maid. So when she's still all plain and undressed up. And then with the frost, it's like that bride on her wedding day, which is all beautified, if I can put it like that. So she's got her makeup done. The frost looks like she's wearing, the landscape's wearing beautiful jewelry. So it's all fancy because of this frost that's fallen. No, not here amid this flounce and filigree of death is the real transformation seen in progress, but deep below, where frost, worrying the stiff clods, unclenches their grip on the seed and lets the future breathe. So this is also a very important image that you must understand, because this is where the theme of the poem lies. So the speaker is saying that he realizes that the real transformation is not this show that's being put on the surface. This frost that's fallen and it looks so beautiful, and it's like the plants are growing crystals and diamonds. He says this is actually not the amazing part. The amazing part, the magic, is the miracle of nature that happens underneath the ground. So the seeds are getting ready to grow, and this frost that's fallen, when it melts, provides that water for those seeds. It unclenches the soil, it softens everything up, and provides that first push for those seeds to grow. And this is the real transformation, the real true miracle of nature. So although the poet, or sorry, not the poet, the speaker is in awe of this beauty of this frost, he realizes that the true beauty is actually nature itself, and the miracle of how it grows and how it transforms itself season after season. Right, and that is a hard frost, so it's really not a difficult poem. If you can manage to understand and explain those few things I've pointed out now, then you will be perfectly fine. So please do the questions on the poem in the study guide. It is number 2.8.1 and it's on page 22.